when word of mouth got around, he had to rent out a convention hall in Orlando, and it's a big one, believe me. And we stayed at the Peabody Hotel. And the Peabody is the hotel that has the ducks that march in and go and get the pond or the water fountain. And then he taps the thing and the little ducks march right back into their little room. And he's in like a master's uniform with a top hat and all. It's comical to see, but this was so awesome. If I could go back in time and record that and have it to show y'all, I tell myself all the time, oh my God, if you could only have gone. I think we paid $109 and we got teaching every morning. In the hotel they had rooms set aside and big rooms. And we had women pastors, we had singers. I don't know if anybody knows who Ron Canoli is. He's a black psalmist. He got Psalms to be here. And he has a lot of, that time it was cassettes, y'all. But these were people that were well known, and they taught classes, and most of it was to teach us the spiritual part of being involved in music. The pastor, his name was Clint Brown, and the seminar was called Judah, and he taught like etiquette, stage presence, what a pastor expects of his musicians, his singers, his worship team, his choir, what he expects. And it's nothing to take lightly. And from a pastor's perspective, you take notice. If it was just some musician, no. But from a pastor's perspective, it was your stage presence. You have one opportunity. Well, first let me back up. Everybody here knows everybody because we're a small church. And everybody, they're fine with how we do. But when we have visitors, we have one chance to make a first impression. And this pastor said this, Clint Brown did, 90% of the people that come to church are drawn to the Holy Spirit through music. 10% is drawn from the preaching. And that floored me. And the church I've been involved with for 30 years, that pastor said the same thing. And for a pastor to say, his preaching is only 10% of what gets people to the Lord, it's the music. I got goosebumps. It shows you what an awesome responsibility you have up on the platform. And it's not how good you sing, it's how you express your singing. The songs that I have been singing in solos, I've been singing for years, but I still practice them as if I hadn't. And when you get the words in your spirit, and I didn't understand that when I first became involved in church, that said get the song in your spirit. I thought, what do you mean get the song in your spirit? I'm trying to get the words. And what it means is you get familiar with the words, and when you read the words, you're not just reading words, you're reading what the message in the song is. So that when you're up here singing to the congregation, singing for the Lord, your countenance shows that you're feeling what you're singing. And if I didn't feel what I sing, I wouldn't sing. I might as well be in the toilet back in there singing all by myself. Because I ask God to anoint me and let me be effective and for Him to use me. I want to be used of God. I mean, I can go out in the secular world and sing, but that's not what God had me to do. And I didn't realize that God had called me to sing until I had the church that I've gotten saved in. We moved on, and the church that we got involved in, I was sitting in the congregation and singing, and it's like I had a fire inside my body. And I went and I told one of the guys that was in the group that we were there, I have got to sing. And I'm thinking, why am I singing this, Peggy? Who are you? And I kept saying, I've got to sing. And they said, well, go tell the choir director. So I'm not a very bold person. I mean, I might sound it, I love to cut up and all that. But I don't have a boldness to go up and say, I want to sing. But I did. And I went to him and I said, I've got to sing. And he said, okay. So they had me sing. And the pastor of that church told me something. In fact, it came back to haunt me the other day because Memorial Day, Sunday night, Pastor Robert asked me, he came and he said, you've got a song to sing. And I said, I didn't bring any music. His face got red. I said, oh Lord, because the pastor in 1990 or whenever it was, his name was Brother Davis, he told me, Peggy, never go anywhere that you don't take your music. And here I am in a church that I belong to, and I was not prepared. And I felt so, you don't know how bad I felt. After service, I came up and I said, Robert, I am so sorry I didn't have my music. And he said, do I aggravate you? And I said, no, you don't aggravate me. Because what he said was the truth. And I'll give you another example of truth. We were doing the song, and I had the tambourine. I like kind of upbeat music. And I was just beating that tambourine. I mean, he was up here, he's going to hit the solo. I don't know if it was a song he just did on the video or not. Was it? I can't think of the name. Anyway, he was singing, and I saw him kind of do this. Didn't look back, he just kind of looked down. And I'm thinking, you know, I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, but I'm not the dullest either. And I'm thinking, okay, well, the beat kind of slowed down, or it stopped for a second, but we're clapping in the choir so loud. Yeah, and I wasn't really that familiar with the song because I hadn't been coming here long. And I was just banging away with that tambourine boy. I had the beat going, and we messed up. We didn't hear the cue for us to slow down or stop or whatever we had to do. It messed him up, it messed us up. So after church, I came up and I said, Pastor was, and it was a Sunday, he was making the announcement about the cruise. I remember that. He doesn't like to be interrupted when he's got something he's focused. And I come up and I said, Pastor, me playing the tambourine, did that mess up the choir? And he said, yes. I thought, oh, jeez. It hurt so bad, it stung. But I asked, and I expected an honest answer. I didn't want him to say, oh, no, not really. And then I'm up there every Sunday banging my brains out, and it's bothering him. Because in my old church years ago, the choir director couldn't stand a tambourine, so we knew not to. And if anybody in the congregation, once you could see the hair on the back of her neck stand up. But I appreciated him being honest. And I called him on the phone, I left a message on the phone. I said, I am so sorry, because my goal is for us to excel. My goal is for us to be so good. My goal is that we are so excited when we come into church. We can't wait to get up on the stand and say, Lord, that is my goal. That is my goal. It's not about me. It's not about Priscilla. It's not about you. It's all about God. And when we can win souls to the Lord at the altar, when we're singing, ooh, there goes my goosebumps. That is what's going to drive the church. And, you know, we do have an older congregation. And being involved with this years ago, I saw that older people don't like change. I don't. I told Pastor I don't. But when it comes to music, I do. You know, I like M&M peanuts, but if all I ever had was M&M peanuts day in, day out, I'd get tired of it. And we're singing here, and there's this to learn, and then this to learn. It's okay to keep doing this, but we need to do a little of this up here. Because we want to draw young people, we want teenagers to want to be in the choir, and not say, oh Lord, there they go again. And I was raised in a Baptist church, and I'm going to tell you, I told Mark this, I hadn't been coming here long. I've been raised in a Baptist church. And the only difference between that church and a funeral home was at that church they were sitting up. At the funeral home they were laying down. And I was a young girl, and I knew something was missing in that church. They sang every Sunday, they sang Onward Christian Soldiers. To this day, I can't stand it. And it's not that it's a bad song, it's just I had a weekly dose of Onward Christian Soldiers. And it was like they couldn't vary their music. And even at a young age, I thought, Lord, this got to be more of a Christian, because I've always been drawn to music. Music is what drew me to the Lord from the get-go. And it still draws me. It still draws me. And the music can make or break a service. I'm telling you, music can break a service. It can make it or it can break it. And I was telling you, I went to Orlando for 10 years. And the first time I went, it was so small. In the years to come, and you can pull it up on YouTube, You can Google him, Clint Brown, Judah. And those concerts that they're showing on the internet, I was involved in those because they're reruns of back then, because their music has changed and geared a little different and is not as popular as it was back then. We would line up to get into the auditorium, and when they opened the doors, they had a convex circular wall that blocked your view of the auditorium. And in front of that wall was young people. And of course, the older you get, everybody looks so young, so they could have been 18, 19. But when they opened the doors, they were yelling, they were clapping their hands, they were high-fiving. And I was probably the only white-haired woman there, and I high-fived them and yelled just like the rest of them because it was exciting. And you know how when you put your clothes in the dryer and you put a nylon sweater or something and you take it out and it goes crackle, 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 and all that static electricity? That's how it was in that auditorium. And when I tell you, you couldn't sit still. And when the curtain come up, they had a baby grand piano for the pastor to play. They had a worship team. They had a choir. And they stood on bleacher things, which God knows I could never do that now. But they stood on bleachers, and they had their own band. And when that music started, it was like popcorn in that place. People were popping up and down. You could not sit still. And he taught us new songs. Well, he didn't stand there and teach. He sang them, and it was on the cameras, on the screen to see. And they were so awesome. Those worship songs, praise songs, happy, happy songs, that when we got through with one of those evenings, the concerts was work. We paid like $109 for 3 days. Plus we had to pay for our room and our food. It was awesome. Then the concerts every night was something that you'd pay $150, $200 for just to go see some rock band. Probably even more, because I don't know what you pay for them. But the worship team that I was involved with, everybody went. And we would go to somebody's room and we would rehearse a song that we heard that night. And people would knock on our door and say, "Y'all sound so awesome," because we had full-blown harmony. We had probably 5 or 6 people at that. And when we went back to church that weekend, on Sunday, we stood up and sang that song before the church. And they were so receptive because we brought so much more excitement back to the church. And that's what we're here to do, is bring excitement into the sanctuary, excitement up in the choir. And it should just be so contagious that people can't wait to get to the altar. Can't wait to get to the altar. The few things that we learned about stage presence, stage etiquette, was like she was showing about us coming up together. You know, that it showed us praying and that the others are coming up. And some people come up that sit way over here, and then people have to walk in front. We're going to get all that organized. Priscilla's got all that down. I want to tell you, Priscilla's worked her backside off on this. I haven't done nothing but bump my mouth. She's done the video. She's done the printouts. She has got the gifts. I just met her over here and we talked about different things. So she has been the backbone of all of this. I'm just that person. But they taught about, like, we keep the banisters clear. You don't put our water bottles up, our books up, or a tissue box. Put everything on the floor. You know, it's kind of awesome that, awkward to walk with all that in front of our feet, but we have to do it because there's no other choice unless they bring the back of that up here somewhere. And I was talking to Priscilla last night about 9:31, and I said, to grow a church and to grow a choir, when people come into church and we're so full they can't even find a seat to sit, they won't come back. So when we get where we're full, and we're going to put more seats out to accommodate visitors, because that's a rule of thumb. If they come and they can't find a seat, they sure won't be coming back a second time. We're getting so packed out in the choir. I I sat here and thought, well, how's the pastor going to do this and bring more seats in? Nobody's going to want to join a choir when we're so packed, there's no room for them. So we got to have that in our head about how we're going to put more seats out. Don't know. It's really not going to be my problem, it's going to be pastors and Priscilla's. I don't know on her. But it's all about our stage presence. When we get up there, and one thing he said, don't chew gum. And I sat there and I thought, don't chew gum. And he said, he said, when you're out there looking up here, it looks like a bunch of cows chewing their cud. You know, and a lot of people do chew gum. And, you know, I don't because I have dentures. But he did mention, you know, take a tissue. If you forget, take a tissue, put your gum in your tissue. And talking.
I'm surprised, excuse me, Mr. You're surprised to fly out when they sing.
Yeah, and
You know, water would be like, shoo.
Yeah, the first time I went to sing, I had a cough drop in my mouth. Because as you get older, your vocal cords get dry. And I wanted to keep my vocal cords moist. So I stuck it enough. Lord, please don't let it go down and don't let it shoot out. You know, if the spirit's moving, that sure is going to kill me and the spirit. But when the pastor's up here talking and we're chit-chatting back here, we don't know how sensitive the microphones are, if they're on or they're not on, but he can hear us. He can hear everything that we're saying. And if he's sitting in that chair, God forbid. So we should really watch our discussion. Our socializing should be before church and after church, not in the choir. Because it's a distraction. And when we're up there, and I've done it, I've caught myself, I said, Lord, Peggy, shut your mouth. Making a comment. My comment's not all that great, you know. In my head it is, but to God, why are you saying this at this particular moment? And when people come in and they see you talking and maybe giggling, they're thinking, See, that's where the spirit kind of leaves everything. It turns people off. It's the new people we're concerned about. It's not, our church loves us the way we are. We love each other the way we are. But it's the visitors that come in that we are really wanting to encourage to come back. It's the visitors we're trying to encourage to join the church, to accept Christ first. Accept Christ first. Join the church. Get involved. Get involved with the choir if they like music. You've got to like music to be dedicated. It's not, I feel good, I think I'll sing this week. Oh, I don't want to be bothered with it. That's not what choir is about, because it's all about God. Because if God only showed up when he felt like it, when he was being persecuted, where would we be today? It's a hard thing to think about that. We have to push forward, because sometimes when you feel your worst is when you get your biggest blessing, when you really try hard. Singing for the Lord is a privilege. It's not a drudgery. It's not, I gotta do it. It is such a privilege. And your ministry as a singer is just as important as the pastor's preaching. Because yours is a ministry also. I see Janet coming every Sunday. You know, that is a ministry. She never says a word to anybody. She just goes and sits down and does her thing. And we appreciate the musicians and the drummer and the guitar players and all of those that participate. And Priscilla, you know, she has fibromyalgia and she pushes hard sometimes to come here and lead us with a smile on her face. That's God. You know, and her reward is going to be so great. Her reward is going to be great. Everybody's reward in heaven. You know, our reward's not down here. Because if you're doing it to get a praise and get somebody to pat you on the back, that's all the reward you're going to get. It's when you do those things and nobody notices or you just don't say nothing. That's when you're building up your rewards in heaven. I wanted to share an example. I watch all the talent shows on TV. I love them. So you think you can dance. There was some kind of dancing. It was all hip-hop stuff, Jabberwocky woman. I just love talent shows. I picked the last one was American Idol. And I just love them. And the other night I was watching So You Think You Can Dance. And there was a tap dancer on there that she had tried out in Dallas. And she was so mediocre, they didn't pass her. But they told her, you need to do this and you need to do that to increase your repertoire. I mean, shuffle, shuffle, step, step didn't cut it. And they didn't accept her. She took their criticism, went home, changed her routine, did what they said. She came back a week later, tried out in another city, and they said, my Lord, what a difference. And they said the difference between a person who just does it to do it and a person that really enjoys what they're doing and they want to do better is they take constructive criticism, they take it home, they think about it, they apply it to what was said to them, and they try to do better. That is a mature person, a mature musician, a mature singer, choir member, worship leader, whatever. It's when you can take criticism and do better. Because none of us is so good they can't learn to do better. I know I can, and I hope to do better. And with all this, I'm trying to read my notes and tell you, if we could come up just one Sunday when we're going to do a hot, peppy song, be clapping our hands and I mean looking happy when we come up. You know how contagious that will be out here. Some people that, they're singing a song, I shall not be moved. You couldn't move with a stick of dynamite. You just can't. There's just some people that nothing's ever good enough. They just, I've got some years on me. I'm 76, but I am not no old fuddy-duddy. I am not. I love to cut up. I can cut up, and I can cut up the best of them. I can get the pastor a little bit, but when it comes to music, I'm as serious as a heart attack. Because I want it to be so good that when pastor comes in at the end of the day, everybody says, good Lord, Priscilla, that was so awesome. And it's getting better and better and better. I hear it every week. I see it every week. I see how everybody's more excited every week. And I'm hoping that you'll take these things that's being said from what I've learned with all those 10 years. And I'll tell you something. If you think you're having a problem hearing a song correctly, and I'll give you an example. My ex-husband loved to sing. Couldn't carry a tune in the bucket. Drove me crazy. Drove me crazy. It was like fingernails on the chalkboard. And one day I went somewhere, and that's when you had the little cassette recorders. He recorded himself singing. I thought maybe he thought he was going to sing it to Elvis Presley. I don't know. And when I come home, it's the first time I was married to him 16 and a half years. That was the first time I ever heard that man admit that he was lousy. He said, that was sounding, when I played it back, he said, it was so bad I threw the tape away. And if you want to know, an example is, record your voice on your answer machine. I sound so country. I said, that don't even sound like me. Because I sound different in my own head. But when you hear it played back to you, so if you have means of recording something that you're singing, record it and play it back and listen to your song. If you're hearing it a little off a little bit, put your finger in your ear. You can do it and nobody notices it. You can just be singing like you've got your hand up to your face. And listen to yourself, or if the person next to you, you know that they're singing it correctly, listen to that person. There's nothing wrong with that. That's what we're here to help each other. It's not a me thing, it's a us thing. And I just love y'all, and I've just been so happy to be a part of this. You will never, you'll never know. I met some people last Sunday for lunch at Ann Bill's in Forest Park, and I was telling them that I was going to be teaching this, and next month I was speaking on sexual abuse and suicide for wings. And he said, Peggy, God moved you so you could be used. Because I've been in that church so long, I was like, she's been here forever. She's going to be here forever. And they used to pull me out to go talk about suicide with the teenagers when my daughter first died. And then they got where they didn't do nothing. And I just sat there. I came out of the music. I got disenchanted with my church, different things going on. So I became cold, and I wasn't getting fed, but it was my own problem because I needed to get up and go. And when I got up and go, this is where God led me. And that God's going to be using, and He can use each and every one of you in different ways that nobody else can be used. And I thank you all.
Hi, I'm Brett Manning, and today I'm going to be answering your vocal questions. Be sure, if you have any questions or comments, to leave them on our Facebook, Twitter, or in the comments section below. Next question is, what do I do for excess mucus on my vocal cords? Is there exercise or dietary things that I can do? Well, yes. If I'm going all the time, it's going to exacerbate. In other words, prolong and create more mucus than I need. So what's most important to know is that there does need to be what's called viscous, a thin line of water mucus on the vocal cords. It's where we get the term viscosity. When you think about the piston moving up and down through an engine, the viscosity is how loose that piston slides through the piston chamber. And the vocal cords, because they vibrate on a concert A, 440 beats per second, have to be free from excess phlegm, but also free from dryness. So if you're taking a lot of lemon, which tends to strip mucus off, you got to be careful because it can dry you out. Too much caffeine can dry you out. Herbal tea can cleanse out mucus, but it can actually, if you have too much too often, can actually also dry you out. There are a lot of people believe in throat coat, but it doesn't actually get on your vocal cords. So remember, when you hydrate your body, if you drink water, 3 ounces is not going to hydrate 180 pounds of body. 3 ounces of water does very little. Your body has to distribute that throughout your entire circulatory system. So you want to drink 12, 16 ounces in a couple minutes and hydrate your entire body. When your body's hydrated, it usually balances itself. Stay away from a lot of monosodium glutamate, a lot of processed foods. Those will dry you out as well. Too much greasy food. Sometimes for some people, spicy food makes them too mucousy. A lot of milk can bother people. I've eaten ice cream before I went in the studio because I like a little bit of extra mucus because it sets my voice free. So the question really depends on who you are. But we do have Cali tea that you can order from us here at the company. You can call us and we can ship out that tea to you, and most of my students have that, and it helps them when they're touring and when they're practicing to clear out that morning phlegm. But don't clear your throat like I just did. It's terrible. If you're going to do anything, just say, swallow, but make sound. Or a little, or g, or b. Gentle compression helps you to sing off the top of mucus. Next question is, how do I keep from being too airy or too breathy? How do I get more cord closure? The simplest way to get cord closure is the exercises that some of you have seen 1,000 times. It's in our Singing Success program, as well as Mastering Mix and my top 7, is these silly lip rolls. When I say it's very hard to say, but let's say you can't do the, and it is like, and you're blowing excess air to start that instead of a series of B's. It's pure cord closure. Maybe the tongue trill is easier. If you can't do that, if those 3 are all hard, the easiest thing is just simply say ba, ba, but hang on the B for a slightly uncomfortable amount of time. And now, uncomfortable doesn't mean that you have excess throat tension. It just means like if you're underwater and you're swimming, you're going, You're trying to catch your breath and you can't because you're running out of air. You finally come up and you say, bah. Well, you're not, bah. You're not airy or breathy. You're not, bah. You're, bah. Ba ba ba. There's the edge. Ba 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 ba. Now eventually you want to let go of some of that edge. Ha ha. But initially to have the little bit of edge, that little bit of cord closure, it's not going to hurt you. But the most important thing is that you find this on every note through your range. So little staccatos like little cry like ow, ow. And make sure you use the vocal fry to join in the beginning, to join the hemispheres of the voice. The top hemisphere or the bottom hemisphere joined through the if you the opposite vocal fry is falsetto or breathy singing. So a little or those are two simple exercises that will establish chord closure. Make sure you use the program every day. The exercises do work, and when you're having trouble, make sure you contact one of our coaches because we're here to help you. Hi, I'm Brett Manning, and today I'm going to be answering your vocal questions. Be sure, if you have any questions or comments, to leave them on our Facebook, Twitter, or in the comments section below. The next question comes about tongue placement. Some people say up and backwards or forward, or a tight tongue or a loose tongue, or tongue hanging out. And there's so many conflicting instructions that what is it that we do. The Perfect Voice Institute, founded in Chicago in the early 1900s, talked about the tongue as almost like a trough, like a canal, like a and then they pulled it back. And it allowed for the maximum resonance with very little bit of effort. And that's good for O's and ahs. And I historically have taught people, notice some of the people with the best tones, their tongue was like this. Whenever I see people start to tighten their face, or stick their tongue out, unless their tongue is just hanging out, and it's relaxed, remember this, that person's usually going to sing easy. The tighter the tongue, the tighter your sound. So the most important is to keep it right when you speak. So if I say E, tip of the tongue is resting behind the back of the bottom teeth. E, I, e, a, u, a, u, o, a. It didn't have to move once. And you are in the place of relaxation for the vowels. But remember, R, it rolls up. N, la, da, ta. All the consonants move the tongue, but on all the vowels, the tongue should be resting, not tense. Next question is, how do I sing on pitch? Well, first of all, let me say this, no one is tone deaf. So if you think you're tone deaf and you can't sing, it's a myth. If you're tone deaf, it means you can't even distinguish a conversation, because a conversation has up and down, right? When am I asking a question? When am I asking a question? Am I asking a question? See what I'm saying? My tone goes up and down. So you know, first of all, that you can discern pitch in your hearing. So nobody is tone deaf. They merely have to get tone consciousness into their vocal cords. Their voice has to obey what they hear. Otherwise, if you're tone deaf, all music would sound like it was one pitch. But you hear the variety. You hear the low notes and the high notes. Once we establish that, the way to sing on pitch is to be able to tune your voice. And we tune it using a sine wave. If I say this and play two notes together on a sine wave, you hear the vibration between the two pitches. Similar to tuning a guitar, and you hit the string below and you hit on the 5th fret, it's going to go until it's one straight pitch. If the pitches are off, the frequencies, the sound of the frequencies, it's like two people running at the same time, but one person's running a little faster, so you hear those steps. That's what you're hearing in the wave. So if I'm here, hear the wave. Now the slower the frequency, so the slower the wave. So when I'm here, if I'm off, now the chords to tune that refined motion, which is less than a quarter step of flexing between one pitch and the next is the chords stretching 1/100th of a millimeter to make that happen. So you are kind of a miracle, that the fact that you can tune your voice. But I've seen people who have Grammys who've come in here, and when they do this sine wave, they'll say, hear the vibration? They're unable to say, no, you don't hear any vibration between the pitches. If you hear the subtle vibration, the chords start to go off. See, slightly sharp. So, you slide back and forth over the pitch. Now this is my approach, but this can take sometimes a 2-hour session with me or one of my coaches to make this happen. First of all, make sure you have the program and you're exercising every day, because your voice will have better control and better pitch just from doing the right approach to singing. If you have extra muscle tension underneath your chin, if you're lifting your chin high to sing, if you're not taking a good breath, those things will affect as well your pitch. But this is an exercise that can help you today. Hi, I'm Brett Manning, and this is your free vocal tip of the week. As you begin to yell or scream or talk loud or do anything excessive, the whole voice suddenly shifts up. So your natural range is from here to here, but then it's from here to here. And finding that bottom extension is very difficult. One of the ways of being consistent is to keep that larynx neutral. The larynx doesn't move when I'm going down and when I'm going up. I'm going to find more consistency as I'm going down, more consistency as I'm going back up. Notice my larynx doesn't move. If the larynx drops, then I drop out. I lose my pitch. So if I'm saying, nighttime sharpens, but if I drop too much, my larynx drops, I lose the chord compression. Typically, when the larynx goes up, you get more chord squeeze. When the larynx goes down, you get more chord release. So that's why we drop our larynx as we sing high, is to keep the vocal cords from tightening up too much. Also, we drop the larynx when we sing high to keep the sound more open. Because what happens is the higher the larynx goes, the thinner the sound gets. Hi, I'm Brett Manning, and welcome to the free vocal tip of the week. One of the biggest problems that singers have had over the years that I've worked with is that they don't know how to get their voices warmed up. Very often we jump in quickly to sing and our voices break down quickly. If you have a slow, methodical, gentle warm-up, then you have longevity. The longer you take to warm up your voice, as long as you're not dragging it out, a lot of times the longer you're going to be able to sing. But if you find yourself thinking it's okay to say, hey, hey, hee, and then sing, that is not a warm-up. Muscles need to be treated with respect, and a warm-up should be methodical. In my upcoming program, Mastering Mix, that some of you may already have by the time you see this, we go through this methodical morning warm-up. But let me give you a sneak preview. So the first thing I'm going to do when I warm up my voice is I'm going to pay attention to my body. If I feel real groggy, real stiff, I'm going to go for a little walk through my house or even through my neighborhood. Turn that walk into a brisk walk and that brisk walk into a jog. And I might jog just 5-10 minutes and then come home and begin to warm up my voice. If I wake up feeling refreshed, I can a lot of times break into a humming, just a and then eventually put it on the scale. But I'll start low. And begin to warm up just slowly. And I'm not worried about the quality of my voice, how much voice there is, and if my voice is raspy when I wake up. If I wake up and feeling like this, probably I had reflux that night. So what I'm going to do is just get a little bit of this, get my chords together like that one guy who used to be president. So you're going to be right here and say, and I put no effort behind any of my singing. If I go, if I still feel any pinch or push or pressure at all, I'll back off and just say, yeah, oh, yeah. And if I start to tighten up, oh, it's too much. Oh, yeah. And I will do maybe 2 to 3 minutes of exercises at the most, and then 5-10 minutes of rest, and then come back to it. But the thing is, warming your voice up in the morning, which is the worst time to sing, requires patience. Also, you should get up in plenty of time to sing. If you have to sing at 8, get up at 6. You get up at 7, the body ain't even awake yet, and you're already trying to sing. Another thing you can do is warm liquids. First thing in the morning, I like making my Cali tea or my Fortune Delight tea and sipping that slowly and letting that increase circulation in my body. Good old-fashioned water, obviously very good. You don't want ice water because that will slow down your warm-up process. You also don't want to feel any sense of push. All you're trying to do is get your voice to agree with you. The 3 exercises that take pressure off your voice are the hum, if the voice feels groggy, and also to get towards head voice as quick as you can. The if you're in falsetto, you got to get your chords together. To warm up your voice, you have to find it part and parcel. Easy chest voice, easy head voice, and then move into pharyngeal and edge, finally combining them all together into a beautiful mix. It's just a warm-up. It's not a workout. And you're not trying to find your high range. I don't try to sing high C's first thing in the morning. Sometimes singing middle C is hard. I'll say, in the morning. And so I'll begin to, or once I'm there, I take that pressure off. I'm taking more pressure off. As I take that pressure off, then I go back up there. And I'm combining the with the hum. So I'm getting the freedom and ease of humming with the disengaging of all that extraneous musculature that's present on the... So in closing, let your voice warm up. Don't make your voice warm up. Hi, I'm Brett Manning. Welcome to the free vocal tip of the week. Today we want to talk about increasing power. Power is kind of a deceptive thing because people think that power simply means louder. But power can be adding power to your low notes and to your quiet notes can have more power. I can sing breathy like this. I must be wicked looking for a miracle. I'm singing breathy, but it lacks power. But if I can engage some chord first, warming up into this compression, this ga 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 ga, like I'm talking, and then I add that, I must be wicked looking for a miracle. Right away, there's a little bit more boldness to the voice. If I lack boldness in my presentation, it doesn't matter how loud my voice is, people will think that I lack power. As an opera singer, sometimes people press harder and harder and harder to get louder and louder and louder, then their voice starts to wobble. So the increase of power has to be concomitant of a flowing vibrato. The second the vibrato Our next question comes from I Am Unleashed 1. And the question was that he's a high tenor and he wants to know how to go from his head voice to a super high head voice, or probably close to whistle. That he's going to the A flat above high C. Well, as I approach that A flat, I can widen up and give all I've got to get there. And this is typical even in high school choirs. I hear girls going, they lift their eyebrows, they push very hard to get that. Well, the town's totally swallowed, so I go, instead of, if you have a teeny piece of cord vibrating, in other words, just the inside edges without the full musculature engaged, if you have, it's much easier. But the second you, it's dull, it goes mush, and the quality is very hard to listen to. Also, for the male head voice, you may be doing kind of a pharyngeal head mix, and na-na-na up there, and you get real high up into the top. What happens is that starts to tense up after EFF sharp, so you have to feel more tucking in your head voice. So when I say na-na-na-na-na-na, you hear it tuck in. It's not pure. It's not pure head, but there's a mixture there. Na, 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 na. When I'm in that mixture, na. There's the B flat. Now, much higher than that's kind of crazy if you're taking a lot of power. So as you get higher, you're not going to take the full weight of chest voice up or the full weight of a male head voice, but you has to thin towards whistle voice. If this mechanism is ignored, you will experience vocal damage.